We're joined by producer, writer, and award-winning actor Jose Yenque. Jose, it's a pleasure to see you.
Mabel, how are you?
I have to say, this is the great part of technology and applications such as Zoom. You're in California and I'm in New Jersey.
You know what? My heart is with you out in the East Coast, and so I feel like I'm on the East Coast as well.
Oh, well, first of all, how are you and your family doing during this pandemic?
We're doing good. I'm so grateful that we have this platform with the Zoom. Every Sunday we have scheduled a family meeting. So I have like my brother, and my sister-in-law is out in Jersey. My niece is down in Chinatown. My mom in Manhattan, right there in Midtown, and then I have my cousin Patricia, who's in Argentina, and we all connect and we all just kind of like just talk about what's new. And it's almost interesting enough. It turns into almost like like the sharing thing, like a group therapy. Okay, now what's new with you? All right, now your turn. Now what's new with you? All right, now how about mom? How about what's new with you? And then at the end we just end up just kind of sharing what's going on, and it's helped us so much. So I feel very, very connected to them by at least seeing them and their live, and I can see that we can still laugh, and we can still cry, and worry as well. But at the same time, we're always focusing on solutions.
Oh, no, that's nice to hear. Yeah, that seems to be the thing now is everyone is having, I've heard of Zoom cocktail hours and
I heard about and Zoom
family gatherings.
night and all that, and oh wait, and then now here's the new thing that's been popping up is the Zoom play readings. So I know that now. Yeah, Zoom play readings. I was asked to do one, and I might be doing one eventually. I think.
Oh, that's lovely. Oh, if you do, keep us informed.
Oh, I totally would, and my mom is in it as well. And
Oh,
so
that's
it would
lovely.
be both of us, and so it'll be fun. Yeah.
Speaking of play readings, now there's a new way of trying to engage in work. How were you impacted when the quarantine happened? Were you working on particular projects?
Yes, yes. Actually, I was in the middle of a few projects. As as an actor, we have several hats, and I have several hats on, and I was in the middle of we were shooting a documentary based on the work that I've been doing for the past, God, what, 18, 19 years, and working with youth in Tijuana, Mexico, and so we were shooting in Mexico, Tijuana. We were shooting here. That had to come to a halt. And I remember on the last day of shooting the last day that we were shooting in Tijuana, and afterwards I went out with some of the crew, and I went out, and some of the older students that we have, students that have been with me since they were like maybe 13, 14 years old, and now they're like 19 and 20. And so we were out, and we were out pizza, and I realized that this might be the last time I see them for a while, at least face to face. And I tried to explain that to them, and I remember they didn't take it serious. They were like, Yenque, te vemos la próxima semana, yeah, we'll see you next week, yeah, cut this stuff out. So dramatic, Yes, I am dramatic, but I haven't seen them since then. And so I remember in Tijuana, they didn't take it as serious as we started to see it here. And I knew it was starting to get serious that moment when I went to the supermarket, and all of a sudden everything was gone, and I was like, "Whoa, this is getting serious." And I realized that the people were getting sick, and then people started dying, and then New York was was affected, and so I was calling and Facebook messaging and all that to a lot of my young students in Tijuana, and it hadn't gotten so serious down there yet. And so I remember how it progressed from Los Angeles. It was through further down Orange County, and then San Diego started to get a couple of people that got sick from it. And I knew it was just a matter of time because San Diego is right there on, it's kissing Tijuana. And so they didn't take it serious until all of a sudden people started getting sick in Tijuana. A lot of people got sick in Tijuana, and I think out of all of Mexico, Tijuana is one of the highest, if not the highest, of mortalities. So that's when they started to to realize that, wow. So it's impacted me, like in my profession is with the documentary, with the going and shooting with them, in many ways. Not just that fact that we had to stop work, but there's a connection that I have with them, and the way I worry about my family in Tijuana, I have another family as well, and it's my chosen family, and they're in, I'm sorry, I'm talking about Tijuana in New York. My family in Tijuana, I worry about them, and so that has been a challenge as well. Um,
Well,
we're
you
not that
mentioned,
far from each other.
talking about these students in Tijuana, this
Yes.
is an extension of your nonprofit, Arts for a Better Tomorrow, correct?
Yes, yes, yes. It's so funny because you asked me how did this pandemic affect me. It affected me in across the board. So with the nonprofit called Arts for Better Tomorrow, we do work with kids here in Los Angeles as well as with kids in Tijuana, and and so as part of this is why we're also shooting this documentary, because the documentary, this whole journey that I'm going through, started way before the nonprofit. I think the nonprofit, I think we formed it in 2014, but the work has been going on since way before then, and it's been a long journey. It's been amazing, but this whole pandemic kind of throws this wrench in it, and I know that I'm not speaking only for myself. I'm speaking for many people, but it has been it just added to the roller coaster. Your life itself, life on its own is a roller coaster, and then all of a sudden this hits, and you just get taken off that roller coaster, and you get taken onto another, a bigger one that you didn't sign up for, that you didn't buy a ticket for, but it is what it is. So it has been a challenge, yeah. And also with the nonprofit, I just wanted to add, I think way back in 2002, I remember a friend of mine who's my acting teacher, was my acting teacher back then, an amazing person and humanitarian. Her name is Lee Kilton Smith, and then Adam, her husband, Adam Smith. And they took a group of actors out to an orphanage in Tijuana, and we met a group of young people at this one orphanage, and I think it planted a seed in me, and I always thank her for that. And so I did what everybody does. They go and they give and they bring food and clothing. But I think as I watched the kids grow up over the years, I noticed that they needed something more, um, something that would help. And the orphanage director was doing an amazing job, Carmen, an amazing job with these young people. And I think there's just something a little extra that's needed, and that was I always felt it was the social emotional wellness. And so I thought, what can I do to help these youngsters? Not just, I mean, it goes beyond coming out of your shell. It goes beyond that. It goes beyond self-confidence, self-esteem. I mean, it really goes into um, learning some tools that are going to help you, like every day. And that has always been the goal. Um, it eventually evolved into that, and so that's what this has turned into. And the work now with these kids, I mean, it's needed more and more. And so I'm trying my best. I'm trying my best. So this Zoom is a challenge. It's a big challenge.
It's beautiful that you've taken your love for the arts and you're blending it into the lives of young people that may not necessarily have that type of exposure to it, which
Mhm.
yeah, which is just so lovely. So you've now created you have these two passions, the
Yeah.
humanitarian side of helping others, while exploring your own creative side.
It had, when I say a challenge, I say it with a positive, in a
Oh,
positive way, because um, I was introduced to acting when I was 14 years old. But what a lot of people don't realize that, I mean, I was introduced to it because at 14 I was in trouble. Um, I was lost. My mom put me into an acting workshop. Um, During that acting workshop, I went from a 230-pound stuttering young man to a person who felt comfortable with themselves. to a person who brought down, which is the art, which is, in this case was an acting workshop. It was able to bring down that protective barrier that I hid behind, and I was able to live and see life and experience things, and it was amazing. I think that the arts, I still think the arts are not given the credit that it deserves, and I gotta say that what I went through when I was 14 has stayed with me, and how the arts helped me. So it's not a surprise that years later it surfaces that I work with a group of young people in Tijuana. I meet them, and then I realize, wait a minute, what worked with me when I was 14, could it work with them? And so that's what this whole journey has been. And that's actually where the documentary comes in. It's just to kind of to show all of the walls that I went running into with this project and with this adventure. It has been an adventure. I'm not a psychologist. I'm not a specialist in this or writing curriculums and analyzing. That's not my thing. I'm Joe Schmo from Brooklyn, New York. It's just something that landed on my lap, and I chose not to just push it off my lap anymore. I really kind of leaned into it and said, okay, you know something, the universe is putting this in front of me, and I have to, instead of saying, why, I've got to learn how to say, why not? Let me try it. And that's what this has turned into. So it's great that my passion for acting now, has merged with this passion that I have for this acting program that I developed for these young people, to help teach them the tools that they're going to need for life, and give them some of the tools that they're going to be able to use, not just now, but use in the future. And believe it or not, I think out of the hundreds of kids that have come through the program here in Los Angeles and in Tijuana, maybe 2 turned out wanting to be actors. I think the rest are just, they went off to get married and went off to have kids and go to school and go to universities. And I think that's that is what the goal is. And I'm not saying that because, we don't need any more actors. No, we could always use more actors. But the goal with this thing, with this workshop, is to help teach these kids the tools that they're going to need. And these are tools that are definitely necessary. Because as we know now, especially with this whole thing with the pandemic, everybody's staying at home, isolating, feeling lonely in their isolation, uncertainty, definitely the emotional wellness is what's key. And so for me, it's always been a struggle, what goes on inside. And so now that this type of work is surfacing, that it's needed, I feel like, wow, finally, people can see it, that it is needed, and it feels good now.
That's nice. Yeah, you're not alone, and it's nice to see that vulnerability that you're willing to share with them, that I'm sure comes across to them. And that vulnerability makes me think about your career as an actor. You've had the opportunity to participate in so many great projects. I mean, everything from television, CSI Miami, Law and Order SUV, to the big screen, opposite Benicio del Toro in Traffic. I mean, you really have had the opportunity to kind of explore so many different things, which at times, I'm assuming, forces you to get to that vulnerable side. So I have 2 questions. One that comes to mind is, do you have a favorite project? And a lot of the roles that you play, I know you personally, and you are just lovely. One of the kindest people that I've ever met. However, in your roles, that side doesn't really come out. You're more intense. Over the last couple of days, I was watching, I got a chance to watch some of the things that you've been in, and wow, it's like night and day. I saw you in, what was it that I saw the other day? I was also nominated Wednesday Afternoon.
Yeah.
Woo, boy, whole other side. I was like, is that Jose? I was like, that must be Jose angry.
Oh man, you know what's interesting is I get that a lot, that even with a lot of my students and stuff is like usually they say, "Wow, in that movie or on TV, you look older," right? And what it is honestly is I play a lot of characters who are not doing so good in here, and I'm here in my heart, who are not doing good in here, frustrated and angry and vindictive and jealous and that's fun to play those type of characters. But it's interesting how they say, "Hey, you look older," and I guess it does age you. So it ages you. So when I'm in that type of character, you're like, "Oh, what the hell is that?" Uh, I guess yeah. No, it's been a really funny journey with that because when I first started doing, I think the first big film that I did was Traffic, that kind of put me on the map. And I was surprised at how many young people. I would go to the high schools back then, and I would do talk, but my talk was simple. It was, show demo, stay in school, say no to drugs. Very simple. Nothing about take care of yourself emotionally. The sun will come out tomorrow. It was none of that. It was just right. And all of a sudden, I realized that these youngsters, they love that. They love the bad guy. They really, really they like, wow, yeah, you were that badass on that show. Oh, you were the badass on that one. And so what I realized later on was I can use that as, okay, you know what? Now that I got your attention, all right, yeah. So stay in school. Yes, apply yourself. And so it has its thing. And
Emotions.
who doesn't love to play a villain?
Well, it's interesting that you said that because you said it's fun. And I'm thinking, where do you stir up that emotion? Like, do you have to think of movies that you've seen, or do you have personal experiences that come to mind?
Oh, yes. Yes, you hit it right on the nose. Personal experiences. Oh my God, I was raised in Brooklyn. That says it all right there. No, but I was raised in Brooklyn back in the day when there were no cafes and a little shop that sold little booties designer booties for kiddies. No, no, no. You know what? I'm so fortunate, and I got to tell you that a lot of this I learned from my mom is using. We go through life's experiences. Life gives you challenges. They throw you curveballs. They give you the right hook, the left hook, and the fact that we're in a profession where we can kind of reach in, and access some of that, and bring that into our present situation, which is being in the moment of whatever we're going through. So if somebody's being deceptive, with me in a scene, and I have to somehow retaliate or have to connive and plan something, then there's a reason behind everything, and so there's always something to pull from. And so that's why I think it's a lot of fun. And I think the most twisted characters or the most evil evil characters, I love playing those kind of, because I know that no one is born that way. You're not born that way. There's not like an evil seed or demon seed that's born. It's something happens in your life that gets you there. So I love, and it's almost like, and I guess I gotta share with you that when I do a role, I throw myself in 100%, and if most of the time it's therapeutic. It's like a therapy.
Watch out for your friends and loved ones if it's a role where you're extremely angry, and stay away from me for the next 2 months.
No, but you're able to step away from it and be like, okay, you know what, cut. Whew. I remember I played one time. There was a show years ago I got to do. I did it twice. NYPD Blue, and I remember I played this this guy who molested a niece, and it was really twisted, the type of the way the character came out, but I had to justify it for myself. And because the character was justifying why he did and why he didn't see there was nothing wrong with what he was doing. And so I remember after one take, like cut, and I remember everybody in the set was just quiet, and then I just went, ugh, okay, I need a shower. I need a shower. Yeah, somebody give me a shower. I got it. But yeah, Mabel, it's what we do. It's our job. This is our passion. This is what we do. We play characters. We bring them to life. We tell a story, and if we get paid for it, wonderful. If you don't get paid for it, then you know what? You better have had an amazing time on set. That's how I look at it.